After 100% in completing Pikmin 4 last week, I went ahead and beat Pikmin 1, right? I played through that again. And what did I do? I deleted that file and immediately started over. I would have beaten that game again that day in one sitting if I wasn't just about to pass out from exhaustion, right? I had been streaming for like 12 hours, almost 12 hours. It was 11 hours, 52 minutes. So I was like exhausted, but I had a blast. I legit wanted to do it. I was on the verge of setting a new PR, like 11 days for Pikmin 1. Another couple of days and I will have a sub 10 run, right? This is a big deal, right? Like there are very few people in the world who can crack sub 10. I think like 5 people right now have managed to beat Pikmin in 1 in like 6 days, which is the lowest possible, right? Like I would love to join their numbers someday. I don't know if it's possible. Like it just seems that like it's requires a lot of optimization, right? I've seen other people do it. It's a nightmare, but for me personally, I'm very happy with the way my progress is going. Like the way things are looking now, like I'll have the game beat in 11 days, right? I've played Pikmin 1 over and over and over these past couple of years. This year in particularly, I think I've played the game more than 7 times. It is probably my most replayed Nintendo game right now. It's kind of eclipsed Super Metroid in that respect. Donkey Kong Country as well. Like, this is a game I've been playing aggressively for a very, 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 very long time, right? I am really starting to understand how high the skill ceiling for this game actually is, in spite of being a single player game that I beat when I was like, what, 10, right? This is a top tier Nintendo game. Like, a game that, like, a lot of people wrote off and ignored when it first came out, and it stood the test of time as one of the all time greats, one of my personal favorites, and one of the best games on GameCube, right? Pikmin 1 is phenomenal. And the big takeaway I want to like emphasize in this playthrough it's way better than Pikmin 4. Like that's the big thing I really want to point out with this playthrough. And as I like return to Pikmin 3 and like maybe talk a little bit more about that game, like there is no doubt in my mind that Pikmin 1 and 3 stand heads and shoulders above Pikmin 4. At this point in time, having beaten Pikmin 4, having done everything in it, having gotten every item, done every cave, like fought every boss, beat the game, got the true ending, after doing all of that, I come away with this feeling that wow, Pikmin 4 really wasn't that great. It was basically a better Pikmin 2, a game that was fundamentally flawed and should never have been made, right? Pikmin 2 was a disaster and is borderline unplayable. Cannot stand Pikmin 2. And Pikmin 4 is by no means like a bad game. It's by no means like, on the same level of like as just disappointing as Pikmin 2 is. But like, playing through Pikmin 4, like going through those caves, like solving those puzzles, like it's not Pikmin, right? Like Pikmin cannot function in a dungeon crawler setting, right? That is not what Pikmin is. It does not assume its identity. It doesn't work, right? And I don't see a lot of fans of Pikmin 2 like really admitting it, that the caves are a problem, that they hold back the game. What people actually want is to explore a big overworld map, deal with dangerous obstacles, and like organically make their way across it, right? Right? Like figuring out the safest route, like figuring out like where to go next, like how to do things, getting the right Pikmin for the job, growing your Pikmin, like utilizing them in cool, unique ways. Like people don't want to go through these caves. Like they're boring. Right? My favorite moments of Pikmin 4 were exploring like the crazy, dynamic, interesting new locations. The tide going up and down in like the shore area and like the house and like all the crazy stuff that came up with there. Like there were good moments in the game. Like they had a poison area for the first time, right? But all of that was taken away because of how easy it is to just throw a bunch of Dandori challenges, just throw a bunch of caves, just throw like a bunch of nonsense everywhere, and just like ruin the entire experience, right? Ruin the pacing of the game to pad it out for like another 20 hours, right? Like we did not need caves, right? I gladly would have traded all the caves for like 2 more areas, right? Like they are worthless. They do not add anything to the game at all. right? Like I just want to explore and I just want to fight, like just make my way, like build bridges and like just get to know the world of Pikmin, right? And you do not get to experience that when you spend 90% of your time in caves, just mindlessly mashing the A button, just dealing with these boring, monotonous bosses that like Ochi can honestly handle by himself. Right? It is it is pitiful playing Pikmin 4 and seeing how little technical depth there is. Seeing how much like how reliant you are on the dog. Like seeing just how the game just fails to live up to its legacy. Fails to live up what Pikmin 3 managed to accomplish a decade ago. Like Pikmin 3 as it stands right now is the last real Pikmin game. The way it looks right now is that like all future Pikmin games are going to take more after 4, right? We're going to see more nonsense. We're going to see more caves. We're going to see more NPCs. We're going to see like more Ochi, more of this dog instead of like, actually expanding Pikmin types and their functionality and like how you can use them and stuff like that. Like, no, let just make it like the Ochi series from now on. Like, Ochi is like better than every Pikmin, like all by himself. He is the apex predator of the Pikmin planet. Why would you not just have Ochi do everything, right? Like, and that is a big problem, right? The series is no longer it no longer has that ambient, like tranquil, like atmosphere that's both beautiful and dangerous, like a real natural location, right? It's fake. Monsters disappear. Like monsters do not reappear on the overworld because ooh, that would be scary for new players if they had to deal with obstacles, right? Like it's crazy how Pikmin 1 20 years ago was able to like come up with really unique concepts, like having uh, wood bugs like eat away at the bridges if you leave them be for too long, or like unique enemy types, or enemies respawning like depending on like if you stay away for a couple of days. Like it's crazy how like Pikmin 1 feels like so much more alive and real than Pikmin 4 does in its entire like 35-hour like playtime, right? 25-hour playtime, right? Like Pikmin 1 surpasses Pikmin 4 in essentially every regard. Like there is like basically nothing other than like pure solid game length that I would say that Pikmin 4 does better than 1, right? Like Pikmin 1 does have better combat. It does have better balance between Pikmin. It does have like endless replayability, right? Like I finished Pikmin 4 for the first time recently, and I honestly not sure I'll ever return to it ever. And yet somehow, this very same day that I beat Pikmin 1 again, I come right back to it. That really demonstrates that game's longevity and its quality, right? Miyamoto's original vision far surpassed this like, cookie cutter, like stale derivative, like nonsense that like the new Nintendo developers came up with. Like that, like whoever headed up this game had no idea what he was doing, right? Like these guys, like just could not don't seem to understand what makes Pikmin work. And what's more embarrassing is that unfortunately most fans seem to feel the same way. I see very few people like addressing just how disappointing Pikmin 2 was. Right? Like I'm seeing very few people like acknowledge that Pikmin 4 has very real problems. That it's way too easy, super casualized, has like all these very real like issues with it that like it never really gets better like even as you go for 100% completion. It has all of the same problems that Pikmin 2 had 20 years ago, and you don't really see anyone talk about it, right? Pikmin 3, which was a far superior game, was like really mocked and derided by fanboys back when it first came out. Being a Wii U game that kind of came with the territory, but like it's so weird like looking back at that era and seeing just like how much better things were back then, right? When we were getting stuff like Pikmin 3, like just how much better Pikmin 3 was, how much more soulful, how much better the boss fights were, how much more organic the environments were, the visual quality, the animation, like the unique Pikmin and how like they got into unique situations with flying around like when like moving around the overworld, like how there were so many like unique, interesting aspects that just delivered in spades. Pikmin 4 could not match even a fraction of that feeling. It was appalling seeing Pikmin 4 try to be try to innovate or do something else. Like nothing this game did was good. It was by my account, the only account that matters that this game, Pikmin 4, was a disappointment. If you want to play a real Pikmin game, play 1 or play 3. Pikmin 4 will not be remembered fondly by real fans of the franchise.